Did anybody think that there was going to be trade rumors about Lamarcus Aldridge, the big-name free agent that the San Antonio Spurs signed only one season ago? Well, apparently it's out there, and I guess the root of it is that Lamarcus Aldridge is a bit uncomfortable with the rise of Kawhi Leonard, as Aldridge was meant to believe that the offense would be run through him, but with the ascendance of Kawhi, that was not exactly the case. And interestingly enough, there were similar reports of Aldridge feeling the same way about Damian Lillard off in Portland, so it's not out of the realm of possibility that there is some validity to this rumor. Now, if you add on to that the Golden State Warriors, who would be San Antonio's direct rival in the Western Conference, just added one of the best players in the NBA in Kevin Durant to go along to their already 73-win roster, there's a chance that San Antonio would be smarter doing a bit of a retooling, perhaps acquiring some more athleticism and some more perimeter defense to really go against the Golden State Warriors and just lay low for a year or two. And if they were to do that, trading Lamarcus Aldridge would probably be the way to do it. Now, on the flip side of things, Lamarcus Aldridge is a fantastic player, perhaps the best post scorer in the NBA today, one of the best shooting big men we've ever seen, and a guarantee for 20-plus points every single night. But if the rumor is out there, we might as well explore it, with 3 trade destinations, possible destinations, for Lamarcus Aldridge. And the first one is a team that is in every single trade rumor, the Boston Celtics. The Celtics, of course, have 2 more Brooklyn picks coming up as the Nets look to be one of the worst teams in the NBA, and the Celtics may have exactly what San Antonio would be looking for if they were looking to trade Aldridge and build a team that could compete with the versatility and the athleticism of the Golden State Warriors. There's Avery Bradley, who is one of the best defensive shooting guards in the NBA today. He's also respectable from outside, and as an offensive player, you can't just ignore him on that side of the floor either. There is also Jay Crowder, who, like Avery Bradley, is an effective two-way player. Not as reliable of a three-point shooter, but still pretty decent as well. And he would also give you the toughness. He can also play the small ball 4. And then there's also their recent draft pick of Jaylen Brown, who may be the most athletic player on the roster, with his ability to run up and down the floor, finish at the rim, as also make highlight plays. And so a potential trade could be Jaylen Brown and a future Brooklyn pick for Lamarcus Aldridge, or maybe Jay Crowder, or maybe Bradley. And if we look at this for the Celtics, in one breath it would say, all right, we have a star player who can put up 20-plus points a night. We're already a very good team, and you could insert Lamarcus Aldridge into there, and he would probably be fantastic. However, do you really want to trade potentially a decade plus of great basketball with that Brooklyn pick for 3 or 4 years of Lamarcus Aldridge? I personally wouldn't, but Danny Ainge is so crazy, and maybe in the moment he'll just say yes, who knows. We do have to remember that even if the Celtics were to give the Spurs one Brooklyn pick, they still have another one coming up, so they do have a lot of options. But again, I personally would not give up what could end up being the number 1 pick in the draft for currently 31-year-old Lamarcus Aldridge. Our next trade option would be the Phoenix Suns, who pursued Lamarcus Aldridge pretty mightily in free agency not too long ago, trading away one of the Morris brothers to free up salary. When we look at Phoenix's roster, they do have some young assets that the Spurs could be interested in. For one, they have Dragan Bender, who seems to be a stretch big man who could hit from outside, and he's actually seen some comparisons to Kristaps Porzingis. And there is also Marquise Chris, who is a very athletic big man at the 4 position. I could picture the Spurs taking on either one of these guys in exchange for Lamarcus Aldridge. But the Suns also have their backcourt situation, as Devin Booker was fantastic in his rookie season. You have to imagine they want to free up as much minutes for him as possible. There is Eric Bledsoe and Brandon Knight, and they're going to have to come to a decision on those two soon on which one they would want to trade to free up for Booker. If the Suns could put together a package of either Dragan Bender or Marquise Chris as well as, let's say, Brandon Knight and a first-round pick for Lamarcus Aldridge, I could see that being enough for the Spurs to take it on. Now, reasons not to do this move could be, for the Spurs, I don't know if you want to take on rookie big men for Lamarcus Aldridge. Maybe someone who's a bit farther along into their career, just so you don't have to wait too long for them to really take off. And then for the Suns, even if Aldridge would be a great player for you, you do still have a bit of a young roster here with Devin Booker entering his second season and Alex Len still being a young center who hasn't really made his mark on the NBA yet. TJ Warren is entering, I believe, his third NBA season. It might be a bit of a young roster, but at the same time, they pursued him heavily in free agency, so maybe they'd still want to do it. Plus, the combination of a healthy Eric Bledsoe with Lamarcus Aldridge, that'd be a hell of a 1-2 punch. But at the same time, if I'm the San Antonio Spurs, I'd probably rather have Eric Bledsoe than Brandon Knight, so that would be interesting. And now our third and final possible trade destination for Lamarcus Aldridge is the Toronto Raptors, who had a very good season last year, winning 55-plus games and pushing the Cleveland Cavaliers all the way to Game 6 of the Eastern Conference Finals. And when we look at Toronto's roster, Kyle Lowry is a very good defensive point guard. He's also a damn good three-point shooter, and he's also fearless attacking the basket. And when we talk about attacking the basket, there's not many guys in the NBA better than his backcourt mate of DeMar DeRozan, who puts up an efficient 20-plus points every single game. At the small forward position, DeMarre Carroll is a very good defensive player, as well as outside shooter. There's also Jonas Valanciunas at center, who is a presence down low, even if he is a bit raw. And there's a belief around the league that this will be the season he really takes off for them. But the power forward position has always been a bit of a weakness for the Raptors. Lamarcus Aldridge comes in, and I think he would be a seamless fit as a scorer. He could play off of Kyle Lowry's drives, and Lowry could kick it out to him. And the same thing could be said for DeMar DeRozan, because Aldridge, again, is one of the best shooting power forwards that we've seen ever. Now, how would this trade actually happen? Well, the Raptors have a promising young player in Norman Powell, who was very good towards the end of the season last year for them, as he showed himself to be a three-point shooter, which is always valuable in today's NBA, of course. A very good defensive player who you could rely on to defend some top-tier talent in the NBA, but he's also an athlete as well. And I think all of this combined is the exact type of player that the Spurs would be looking to acquire. So if Norman Powell takes the second-year leap and continues on what he was doing towards the end of last season for the Raptors, I think that would be very good. They also have their 9th overall pick in this previous draft, Jakob Poeltl, who is a 7-footer with some nice athleticism and a lot of hustle and drive. And this shows his potential to be a defensive player and a physical presence down low, even if he never really develops a polished post game. If Poeltl shows some nice signs in his rookie season, as well as Norman Powell taking a second-year jump, on top of the Toronto Raptors having all of their draft picks moving forward, as well as the Los Angeles Clippers first-round pick coming up, that could be enough for San Antonio to take it on. And for Toronto, you insert Lamarcus Aldridge into what they already have. Is it enough to compete with the Cleveland Cavaliers? That's another question in and of itself, but it definitely makes you better. Who knows? These are just 3 potential moves. If Lamarcus Aldridge really is to be traded, it could be to someone else entirely. Who really knows what's going to happen to him in the San Antonio Spurs? And of course, if you can think of your own trade idea, feel free. It's always welcomed. And thank you for watching.